A simple crayon may look ordinary, but inside a factory, heat, pigments, wax, and precision create every colorful stick.
And here's what makes it fascinating. Millions of identical crayons must emerge with the same shape, color, and quality.
The journey begins with two essential ingredients: paraffin wax for structure and pigments that create the brilliant colors. Paraffin wax gives regular crayons their solid body, smooth application, and familiar texture when they glide across paper. That wax ultimately comes from petroleum refining, connecting a child's drawing tool to a much larger industrial supply chain. But wax alone cannot create a rainbow. Manufacturers carefully add pigments to produce each recognizable shade. Imagine changing only the pigment, and suddenly the same basic wax becomes red, blue, green, yellow, or purple.
Before production begins, workers inspect incoming wax and pigments, checking their identity, condition, and batch information.
Before production begins, workers inspect incoming wax and pigments, checking their identity, condition, and batch information. Then the materials enter a controlled production area, where cleanliness and consistency become just as important as the recipe. And here's the first major transformation. Solid wax must become liquid before color can be mixed throughout it. Regular Crayola crayons begin melting around 105 degrees Fahrenheit, with their melting range extending higher as heat increases. At roughly 40.6 degrees Celsius, the transformation begins, turning hard blocks into a smooth flowing material ready for color. But melting isn't the finish line. It's the doorway to the most important stage, where wax and pigment become one. Next, carefully measured pigment enters the hot wax, and a completely new color begins swirling through the liquid. But getting the color inside the wax is only half the challenge. The real test is making every particle spread evenly. Once the wax melts, carefully measured pigments enter the mixture, transforming clear molten wax into a vivid crayon color. Powerful agitators keep the hot mixture moving, spreading tiny pigment particles throughout the wax for an even, consistent color. Powerful agitators keep the hot mixture moving, spreading tiny pigment particles throughout the wax for an even, consistent color. This step matters because uneven pigment could create streaks, weak color, or an inconsistent appearance when the crayon meets paper. When the mixture reaches the required consistency, it travels through heated lines toward the machines that will shape each crayon. Now comes the crucial transformation. Liquid wax enters specially shaped molds that determine the crayon's familiar form. The machine fills many cavities at once, producing rows of identical crayons from one carefully prepared batch of colored wax. But those crayons are still liquid inside the molds, so the factory must remove heat before they can leave. As the wax cools, it hardens into a stable cylindrical shape, locking the pigment inside the finished crayon. Once solid enough, automated mechanisms release the crayons from their molds without damaging their smooth surfaces. And suddenly, what started as wax and pigment now looks unmistakably like the familiar crayon we know. The fresh crayons then move toward finishing, where machines and workers prepare them for labeling, inspection, and packaging. Freshly molded crayons first pass through finishing, where workers and machines check their shape, surface, color, and overall appearance. Any crayon with cracks, chips, rough surfaces, or obvious defects can be removed before it reaches the customer. Next comes labeling, where a thin printed wrapper is carefully positioned around each crayon's cylindrical body. High-speed rollers keep each wrapper aligned, creating a clean finish without obvious wrinkles, gaps, or crooked placement. Then automated vision systems inspect the finished crayons, checking visible defects and confirming that labels appear correctly positioned. But machines aren't the only judges. Trained workers still inspect samples and catch subtle differences that automated systems may miss. After approval, machines count and arrange individual crayons into organized sets, preparing them for their final boxes. Each set enters its package, where automated equipment folds the cardboard around the crayons and seals everything together. Finally, sealed boxes receive a last inspection before moving into cartons, pallets, warehouses, and eventually stores around the world. Once packaged, crayons leave the factory and enter a massive distribution network connecting manufacturers, warehouses, retailers, schools, and families. From one factory floor, these small wax sticks can eventually travel thousands of miles before reaching a child's hands. And the story of crayons stretches far beyond today's factories, beginning with much simpler wax-based coloring materials centuries ago. Modern commercial crayons transformed that basic idea into standardized shapes, consistent colors, recognizable packaging, and products made for millions of users. Today, the real achievement isn't simply making crayons. It's producing millions of consistent pieces while maintaining safety and quality. For products used by children, manufacturers must pay particular attention to material safety, labeling, and applicable regulatory requirements. That means the finished product isn't judged only by color and shape, but also by how safely it can be used. One fascinating detail is how much technology hides behind an object most people can buy for just a few dollars. Most people never think about this. Every familiar crayon represents coordinated chemistry, machinery, workers, inspection, packaging, and logistics. And the future may make this process even smarter, with greater automation, improved inspection, and more efficient use of materials. But after everything we've seen, one question remains. What does it really take to turn all those ingredients into creativity? The journey began with simple wax and pigments, but careful manufacturing transformed them into something millions of people recognize instantly. Every color passes through heat, precision, cooling, inspection, and packaging before it ever reaches a drawing paper. What looks like an ordinary children's tool is actually the final result of chemistry, engineering, manufacturing, quality control, and human skill. And that's why the next time you see a simple crayon, you'll know there's an entire factory story hidden inside it. The next time you hold one of these in your hands, remember, it didn't just appear. It was born from the earth, shaped by fire, perfected by technology, and approved by the strictest standards in the world. That's not just a product. That's a masterpiece of human engineering. If you want to go deeper into the hidden world of manufacturing, tell us in the comments what product you'd like to explore next. From wax and pigment to finished boxes, every stage works together to create crayons that are consistent, colorful, and ready to use. The remarkable part isn't the crayon itself, but how precisely thousands of identical pieces can emerge from one factory. Every smooth surface, bright color, accurate label, and finished package represents another small victory for precision manufacturing. And behind every colorful box are workers, engineers, machines, inspections, and countless decisions most consumers will never see. So a simple crayon becomes something much more impressive when you understand everything required to make it. And somewhere beyond this factory, that tiny piece of colored wax is about to become someone's first masterpiece. The journey ends where creativity begins, with a finished crayon ready to leave the factory and reach someone's imagination. What began as simple ingredients has passed through heat, machinery, precision, inspection, and countless careful decisions. That's not just a product. That's a masterpiece of human engineering. If you want to go deeper into the hidden world of manufacturing, tell us in the comments what product you'd like to explore next. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you inside the next factory. The next time you hold one of these in your hands, remember, it didn't just appear. It was born from the earth, shaped by fire, perfected by technology, and approved by the strictest standards in the world.